Hey, I am 3+Kei. I'm here to encourage you to pursue the smile by prioritizing the Lord, your physical health, and persistent education. We are here for a Bible study of Ecclesiastes chapter 1. So we're going to talk about Solomon's personal experience. Everything is meaningless. Also, wisdom is meaningless. What does any of this mean? Let's find out. We'll start off in verse 1, Ecclesiastes chapter 1, Solomon's personal experience. Everything is meaningless. Verse 1. The words of the teacher, son of David, king in Jerusalem. Meaningless, says the teacher. Utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless. What does man gain from all his labor at which he toils under the sun? Generations come and generations go, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises and the sun sets and hurries back to where it rises. The wind blows to the south and turns to the north. Round and round it goes, ever returning on its course. All streams flow into the sea, yet the sea is never full. To the place the streams come from, there they return again. All things are wearisome, more than one can say. The eye never has enough of seeing, nor the ear its fill of hearing. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. Is there anything of which anyone can say, look, this is new? It was here already, long ago. It was here before our time. There is no remembrance of men of old, and even those who are yet to come will not be remembered by those who follow. Wisdom is meaningless. Verse 12. I, the teacher, was king over Israel and Jerusalem. I devoted myself to study and explore by wisdom all that is done under heaven. What a heavy burden God has laid on men. I have seen all the things that are done under the sun. All of them are meaningless, a chasing after the wind. What is twisted cannot be straightened. What is lacking cannot be counted. I thought to myself, look, I have grown and increased in wisdom more than anyone who has ruled over Jerusalem before me. I have experienced much of wisdom and knowledge. Then I applied myself to the understanding of wisdom and also of madness and folly, but I learned that this too is a chasing after the wind. For with much wisdom comes much sorrow. The more knowledge, the more grief. And so ends Ecclesiastes 1. Let's run it back for the remix with a little bit of commentary, and let's talk this thing through. So we're going to the beginning, Ecclesiastes 1, verse 1, which reads, the words of the teacher, a son of David, king of Jerusalem. The commentary, the author, Solomon, who is the king over Israel and Jerusalem, referred to himself as the capital T teacher, or leader of the assembly. He was both assembling people to hear a message and gathering wise sayings, aka the Proverbs. Solomon, one person in the Bible who had everything: wisdom, power, riches, honor, reputation, God's favor, is the one who discussed the ultimate emptiness of all that this world has to offer. His purpose in this book is to make people realize that their confidence in their own efforts, abilities, and righteousness was meaningless. Instead, their commitment to God is the only reason for living. I see this sometimes. We all have such varied lives. some of us have much abundance, materialism and financially, but just as somebody might have that, another person has much abundance in children or reputation or something like that. And no matter what the Lord has given to you in your lifetime, most of us know that this can easily be taken away, that the things that we have are all fleeting, and that includes the people that we love, that are around us, our jobs, and a point is going to come in everyone's life where they are humbled and will have to eventually bow their knee to Jesus. Verse 2, this is Solomon with all his wisdom and things and people and all the things in his life. He says, meaningless, says the teacher, utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless. The commentary. Solomon's kingdom, Israel, was in its golden age, but Solomon wanted the people to understand that success and prosperity don't last long. You gotta die at some point. There's only so much you can accumulate before it, like, none of it matters. You can't take it with you, friend. And for those that the Lord does bless with material possessions and financial gain and this type of thing, did you know that the reason why you are blessed with these things, all of us, all of our gifts and talents, the reason why the Lord gives us these things is to serve others, help others, give them to others, all for the abundance of the kingdom. True story. All human accomplishments will one day disappear. We must keep this in mind in order to live wisely. If we don't, we will become either proud and self-sufficient when we succeed or sorely disappointed when we fail. Solomon's goal was to show that earthly possessions and accomplishments are ultimately meaningless. Only the pursuit of God brings real satisfaction. We should honor God in all we say, think, and do. Verse 3, Solomon continues. What does man gain from all his labor at which he toils under the sun? Generations come and generations go, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises and the sun sets and hurries back to where it rises. The wind blows to the south and turns to the north. Round and round it goes, ever returning on its course. All streams flow into the sea, yet the sea is never full. To the place the streams come from, there they return again. All things are wearisome, more than one can say. The eye has never had enough of seeing, nor the ear its fill of hearing. What has been will be again. What will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. Every thought has already been thought. Everything, even like the new inventions, the new whatever we think is the newest thing, it's just a reiteration of something else. Even maybe some of you guys are interested in entrepreneurship. One of the top pieces of advice in entrepreneurship is don't reinvent the wheel. Go buy a boring business that already exists, or just do something somebody else is doing, but for a different niche, right? Because everything is the same. It's crazy, you know? And the simplicity of it really is, there's two greatest commandments. The first one is to love God. And so how do you do that? You follow the other commandments he gave us. And number two is to love others. And he gave us his word as an instruction manual of how exactly to go about doing that. And when you go about your life serving the Lord, prioritizing the Lord, and serving others, holding others with regard, holding others with value, when you go about life that way, that's how your life ultimately carries meaning. Argue with me. You know, you're like, hey, I got $1 million, Lakeitha. Did you spend it with your family on experiences and that? Because then you're serving others. If you just put it in a bank somewhere, good luck. The satisfaction would be fleeting. Yes? Chasing of the wind, right? Let's see. Under the sun. Is there anything of which one can say, look, this is something new. It was here already, long ago. And it was here before our time. There is no remembrance of men of old, and even those who are yet to come will not be remembered by those who follow. I heard this one thing, I think it's probably like Alex Hermosi or something, but he was saying, think about your grandma. Like your grandma was here at some point not too long ago, right? What was your grandma's middle name? And if you know your grandma's middle name, what was your great-grandmother's middle name? You probably don't know it. And you probably don't know a lot of things, a lot of their accomplishments. I have a really, really good friend. Her family is just kind of like rich in town. Her grandma, who I also called grandma, had bought a ranch, and little kids camps could go to the ranch. Grandma has a park named after her in our town. She has a bunch of benches and all this sort of stuff. And while I remember it, and while my friend remembers grandma, most people don't remember this teacher that taught them, 50 or 60 years ago. And that's okay. And that's just to say, we all need to chill out a little bit. We have a proclivity toward self-importance, and what I'm doing matters so much. And it's really like, from a God lens, what are we doing in our lives? What is our conduct like in our day-to-day lives, where the Lord is looking at us like, yes, you got it. Do that. Somebody was crossing the street outside of a crosswalk or something, and you stopped for them. Or you let the person in traffic go in front of you. Or you picked up some cans at your grocery store and brought them to the food bank. Right? Not everything has to be announced, but God sees everything that you do. He also sees you took more pie than you should have at the church luncheon, or you didn't. You saw the person needed to cross the street and you kept going because it's not your problem. How often do we just say like, oh, that's not my problem, and keep going? I think it's fairly vital to examine our own lives through that God lens. Commentary. Solomon had a purpose for writing skeptically and pessimistically. Near the end of his life, looking back on everything he had done, he saw that most of it seemed meaningless. A common belief was that good people prospered and the wicked suffered. We know that's just not true. But that hadn't proven true in Solomon's experience. Solomon wrote this book after he had tried everything and achieved much. only to find that nothing apart from God made him happy. He wanted his readers to avoid these same senseless pursuits. If we try to find meaning in our accomplishments rather than in God, we will never be satisfied, and everything we pursue will become wearisome. Many people feel restless and dissatisfied. They wonder, 1, if I'm in God's will, why am I so tired and unfulfilled? 2, what is the meaning of life? 3, when I look back on it all, will I be happy with my accomplishments? 4, why do I feel burned out, disillusioned, dry? 5, what is to become of me? Solomon tests our faith, challenging us to find true and lasting meaning in God alone. As you take a hard look at your life, as Solomon did his, you will see how important serving God is over all other options. Perhaps God is asking you to rethink your purpose and direction in life, just as Solomon did in Ecclesiastes. Wisdom is meaningless. Verse 12. I, the teacher, was king over Israel and Jerusalem. I devoted myself to study and to explore by wisdom all that is done under heaven. What a heavy burden God has laid on men. I have seen all the things that are done under the sun. All of them are meaningless, a chasing after the wind. What is twisted cannot be straightened. What is lacking cannot be counted. The commentary, what is twisted cannot be straightened, refers to the ultimate perplexity and confusion that comes to us all because of the unanswered questions in life. Solomon, writing about his own life, discovered that neither his accomplishments nor his wisdom could make him truly happy. True wisdom is found in God, and true happiness comes from pleasing him. Verse 16. I thought to myself, look, I have grown and increased in wisdom more than anyone who has ruled over Jerusalem before me. I have experienced much of wisdom and knowledge. Then I applied myself to understanding of wisdom and also of madness and folly, but I learned that this too is a chasing after the wind. For with much wisdom comes much sorrow. The more knowledge, the more grief. There is something when I was in my 20s, I forever felt like I had not reached adulthood because adults had a level of sobriety to their affect. They had like a gravitas, nothing's funny. And as I got older, I went through my 20s and I was just like, I don't really want to be like that, And then in my 30s, I felt very similar to that. And now I'm in my 40s and I look around and I don't know many people who behave such as myself. And I understand why it is now. Why when I was in my 20s, there was like a thought that an adult is very serious and very put together. And the reason why, it's very simple. The older you get, the more you experience death and betrayal. You might get fired. You might lose all your money. God forbid, you might lose your child. That like these things happen that change you, and you say you could be like sickened with grief, and it's just true to this point. For with much wisdom comes much sorrow, the more knowledge, the more grief, the more you see the ways of the world. We're all fallen creatures, and we crash and bump into each other and just do not great things to each other all the time. And the result is that grief and that sorrow, because, oh, now I know what can happen to me if I'm too kind. In my case, what'll happen if you're too happy, people don't really check for that. You're too joyous, you're too kind. Oh, this isn't me, but I've seen it happen to other people. If you're too generous, someone who's kind of like attempting to move through their faith walk, things will come and stumble, and you'll kind of see these pieces of the world that will bring that grief and that sorrow. So what do? And I can tell you, I talk about it all the time. You got to figure out how to lean on the Lord. You got to figure it out. And if you're wondering how that happens, just talk to him and start there. The commentary: the more you understand, the more pain and difficulty you experience. For example, the more you know, the more imperfection you see around you. And the more you observe, the more evil becomes evident. As you set out with Solomon to find the meaning of life, you must be ready to feel more, think more, question more, hurt more, and do more. Are you ready to pay the price for wisdom? Solomon highlights two kinds of wisdom in the book of Ecclesiastes. Number one, human knowledge, reasoning, or philosophy. And two, the wisdom that comes from God. In these verses, Solomon is talking about human knowledge. When human knowledge provides answers without God's eternal perspective, when human knowledge ignores God, it only highlights our problems because it can't provide answers without God's eternal perspective and solution. So, for example, one practice that's fairly common to me now, when I have a trial or tribulation, I know I serve a good God. I know I serve a good God, and I know I didn't do anything to you, or I didn't do anything in this situation to like get this thing happening to me. So then there's a reason for it to be happening. And ultimately, that reason will come together for my good, and I just don't know what it is right now. But I trust that something's coming out of it. You know, people whimsically say everything happens for a reason, and it's like, yes. The Lord orchestrates things, yes. He has some reasoning behind it, yes. We should probably incorporate Jesus Christ into such whimsical thinking, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, that's what we've got for Ecclesiastes 1. Thanks for coming along on this journey. And I am 3+Kei. I'm here to encourage you to pursue the smile by prioritizing the Lord, your physical health, and persistent education. And I want to ask you so humbly and kindly, please subscribe to this channel for more content. And check out PursueTheSmile.com and see what we're doing it all for. All right, I'll talk to you later.